So we'll start. Let's start like we always do with a Pledge of Allegiance, led by our sheriff, Errol Toulon. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay. So let's do what we also always do, and we'll first go around the table here, and because we have two new student reps who I want you all to meet. And so first we'll just go around and introduce ourselves around the table, and then I'll come back to our two students. So, Errol?
Errol Toulon Jr., board member.
No?
Narmeen McCowie, fourth year PhD student in neuroscience and board member. Happy to be here.
Sarah Alberudi, political science and sociology double major and president of undergraduate student government, non-voting member.
Neil Buttercley, president of the Alumni Association, non-voting.
Hi, Neil.
Brenda Anderson, president of the University Senate, non-voting.
Chris Hahn, board member.
Andre?
Andrea Goldsmith, the 7th president of the #1 public university in New York City.
Love it, love it.
Carl Edgeway, provost.
Bill Wertheim, executive vice president of Stony Brook Medicine and Health Sciences.
Jed Shivers, senior VP, finance and administration.
Jennifer Almquist, chief of staff of the president.
Rick Etto, vice president for student affairs.
Judy Brown Clark, vice president of equity and inclusion.
Braden Hosh, vice president for educational and institutional effectiveness.
Larry Zachary is vice president for budget risk management and chief security officer.
Lyle Gomes, vice president for finance.
Wendy Pearson, vice president for strategic initiatives and executive director of Stony Brook Council.
Bill Harmon, vice president for facilities and services.
Cindy Anand, vice president for information technology and chief information officer.
Jen Savage, vice president for human resources. Jackie Weissman, interim chief counsel.
Scott Barrett, interim vice president for university council.
Susan Foley, interim vice president, marketing and communications.
Carol Golfo, CEO and chief operating officer, Stony Brook University Council.
Good morning, Fred Scagner, executive director of the Long Island State Veterans Home at Stony Brook University.
Jonathan Spear, deputy executive director of the Long Island State Veterans Home.
Christopher Martin, associate vice president of campus planning and construction.
Love Varshney, professor and director of the AI Innovation Institute.
Louise Melius, president of UUP, West Chapter.
Rachel Kavanaugh, executive assistant to the chief deputy to the president.
Tashika Sutton Young, associate vice president for presidential initiatives.
Leah Danaev, editor and publisher at the Times, speaking record, and always last.
But Leah, you're always welcome here, and just a reminder, in addition, our meetings are open to the public, to the media, and we're live streamed as well, so best behavior is appreciated. So Norman, I rushed you. So we always have two students, a graduate and undergraduate. They take turns being a voting member and not the voting member, so that this year the graduate student rep is our voting member. But tell us a little bit about yourself and Sarah, then why don't you go as well?
Yeah, so I'm in my 4th year. I'm in the neuroscience program. So I study amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is a neurodegenerative disease, and I use the fruit fly as a model. I'm also very into activism, so I'm sure a bunch of you guys have seen me on campus, advocating for Palestinian liberation and divestment. I'm also, I do a lot of outreach in my department, so we go out to the community and we do Brain Awareness Week every year, and we do other outreach events for the community. I'm really excited to be here to speak on behalf of the graduate students. Hopefully I don't make it too difficult for you guys, but I'm looking forward to doing this, so thank you.
Very good. Welcome. That's perfect. And Sarah?
I'm Sarah. I'm in my 4th year here at Stony Brook. I was originally a biology pre-med major, but then after getting involved in undergraduate student government at Stony Brook and university governance, I switched to political science and sociology, and I became very interested within social sciences and potentially higher ed administration as a career field. I've been involved in student government since my freshman year. I'm also involved with the SUNY Student Assembly, and I'm very excited to be here.
Great. And Sarah's being a little bit modest too. She didn't share. So I report back for the last 15 years. So like once a year, I go up to usually the Albany area, and it's Albany this week. So not this weekend, next weekend, with all the chairs of the 62 or 64 different SUNY campuses. And it's part of the Association of College Trustees. And every year we give a scholarship to some terrific student in the SUNY system. And so this year I have to go. I haven't missed one yet, but I have to go because Sarah is receiving this year's scholarship. So not this Saturday, but next Saturday up in Albany, I'll be able to present you with the award. And we give a nice modest check as well. So, so good, congratulations, and so welcome. And you guys are a reminder that at the end of the day, we're all here because of the students. So always great to have your views on things. So we'll get to the agenda. My chairman's report, I'll be brief, and because I'm sure Andrea is going to cover some of it. First, it's great to be here for her first official meeting in person. And victory always has 1,000 fathers. And so wherever I go, either on campus or even outside of campus, for people who are affiliated or have some type of relationship with Stony Brook, and it's always like, oh my God, you did such an amazing job leading the search. She's a rock star. She's going to be great. All these nothing but great compliments. And well-deserved. So very excited to have you on board. And it feels like you've been here for a long time. Anyway,
is that
because
a good thing?
she got approved in February by the SUNY Board of Trustees, and she was, whilst continuing to be the dean at Princeton and finishing up her last semester there, was transitioning here. So when Andrea got here at the beginning of August, she really, really hit the ground running. So it's great to have you here in person, and we wish you a lot of luck and look forward to your report. We did have a meeting this summer, a quick abbreviated virtual meeting. We meet 4 times a year, twice in the fall semester, twice in the spring semester. And we got together. He's not here with us today because I believe he is in Italy, and that is we got together to approve a special Medal of Honor from the Stony Brook Council for Father Alex. And Father Alex, based on the recommendation of Father Alex, we had His Holiness, the Patriarch of the Greek Eastern Orthodox Church, come to our Southampton campus, and we gave him an award for all of his efforts fighting climate change and his support for environmental initiatives. And so Father Alex had made that recommendation to us, and we were happy to do it. And Andrea and I and Wendy and a few others were out there 2 Saturdays ago. Terrific event, another beautiful day. Got in the boat with His Holiness. And later on that weekend, the Patriarch elevated Father Alex. I'm probably messing up the title, but it's Megas Presbyteros. It's the top position in the United States. So not just for Father Alex, I believe, covered New York City to the East End, and so now he's the top guy, and he is the highest ranking person in the Greek Orthodox government who's married, and so he's the highest married official in the world. So pretty cool. And so he had to go, I believe, to Italy because they're planning a big event between the Greek Orthodox, the Roman Catholics, and the world treats them as heads of states. And so he's beginning to do the planning there. So sends his regrets for not being here, but it was very exciting. And you'll get to know him. He's an amazing guy, and he's been on the council with us for about 10 years. And so he'll be at the next meeting, but I did want to acknowledge that and thank the council for voting for that Medal of Honor. We also, I'm sure Andrea will cover it, just 2 weeks ago, Governor Hochul was here with a huge gift for Stony Brook, $300 million. And again, I do not believe either SUNY or the governor would be making that kind of huge investment at Stony Brook if they didn't have terrific faith and confidence in the new leadership that we have here. So again, a big round of applause for Governor Hochul and for Andrea. And then finally, I just wanted to thank him because he helped guide us through the last year, and that's Braden Hosh. He did a terrific job keeping the trains running on time while Andrea was transitioning here and before she even got selected, and then helping us through the council. So Braden, you look happy. You look like it looks like there's a ton of bricks off your shoulders. But thank you for everything you did over the last year. And I got to meet your new Chief of Staff. We had breakfast together last week, Jennifer. We're going to have a great working relationship, so welcome aboard as well. So thank you. And with that, Andrea, I will hand it over to you, and that concludes my chairman's report.
Okay, thanks so much. I'm turning as red as my shirt from all the conference. I appreciate that. So it's wonderful to attend my first council meeting as president of Stony Brook University, the State University of New York flagship, and the #1 public university in this great state. I never get tired of saying that. And if you saw my State of the University address, maybe soon to be the #1 public university in the country. I have no illusions that isn't something that's possible. So before I start with my report, I want to first thank the council. I know that through the search process, your job was to make a recommendation for 3 finalists for this position. So thank you for including me in the 3 finalists. But more than that, from the day I met Kevin, and I remember that first interview in New York City, and it was an hour-and-a-half interview. I didn't want it to end. Kevin's been an incredible partner throughout the interview process. After I was selected, in the whole transition from the announcement in February till I started in August, and since then, he's just an incredible partner. Mr. Long Island knows everything about this region, so much about the history of Stony Brook. I learned something every time I talked to him. I just learned all the history, sordid history of the Research and Development Park the other day. I find this job much more fun, but also much easier to do because of Kevin's leadership and also the council's support and leadership. So I want all of us at Stony Brook to give you all a round of applause for your help and support. It's really been invaluable. And I look forward to continuing our partnership. It's so important that we have strong relationships with our region, with the state of New York, and with the feds, and certainly you've been instrumental in our relationship with the region and with the state government, including the governor. So,
well, thank you, Andrea. And remember, Chris Hahn and Errol and Linda Arman, who's on her way, they were all members of the search committee too. And so I remember after the first day, all of us were like,
yeah. But they didn't tell me that for months.
We weren't allowed. We weren't allowed.
Yeah. I was, another thing I said in my State of the University address was, after that first interview, I came back so excited, and I just told my family, I really hope they pick me because I can't imagine a better place that I could lead than Stony Brook, a place that has so much upward momentum and so much potential. As an entrepreneur, this is the place I really want to lead. But I don't know if they feel the same way. My kids are like, don't get too excited, Mom. You might not get it. You'll be really crushed. And then I got it. So anyway, thank you for again, all your help in that process and giving me the incredible opportunity to lead this university. It's a dream opportunity, and I will do everything I can, drawing from not just my own experience, but also the great leadership team that I have around this room and beyond, to take Stony Brook to new heights. That was one of the other things I didn't really know until I came in, what an incredible team I have. And so I actually want to give a round of applause to my team for not only welcoming me, but supporting me and just being so exceptional at what you do. This is a place with amazing people, and I'm very grateful to work with all of you. So thank you to my team of leaders. Okay. So as Kevin said, this is, I'm now entering my 3rd month. So the first weeks I was counting by weeks, now I'm counting by months. And it's really been joyful every single moment. There's challenges, no question, but the opportunities are so much bigger than the challenges that we faced. And part of the fun for me of coming here was to take on new challenges and grow as a leader. And so I feel more knowledgeable about what we face here at Stony Brook and what our opportunities are. And so moving into somewhat of a new phase of my first semester as opposed to my first weeks. I was thrilled to deliver my first State of the University address last Monday, a week ago. I know Chris and Kevin were in the audience and most, if not all of you. It was incredibly joyful, a little stressful, but joyful to give that address, to talk about what I've observed, but also what our opportunity really is, what our future is. Sarah did me the honor of introducing me, which was also wonderful, the two presidents on stage together. I just want to thank all of you for, first, the team for putting it together. It was a lot of work, and I really appreciate Susan and her team and everybody else, Jennifer as well, who helped craft the story that we told and then presented in such a compelling way. And thank you all for being there and joining in that address. And if nothing else, what I hope everyone who watched it took away from that address was how optimistic I am about Stony Brook's future, how much potential that we have, and how grateful I am for the opportunity to lead this incredible university. What we're going to do over the next few months is really hone in on what the vision for Stony Brook should be going forward over the next decade. And the conversations around that have been ongoing, I would say, since I started interviewing, but certainly since I was named. I've had hundreds of conversations and expect to continue those throughout the academic year with all of our stakeholders. So students, obviously, students are at the heart of what we do, but also faculty, staff, administrators, and our broader community. So people, obviously on the East Campus and healthcare as well, alumni and donors, but the broad community, including the council, elected officials, SUNY leadership, and our broad community partners. Everyone should have a voice in the vision of Stony Brook, because Stony Brook has so much positive impact on this broad community. And I like what you said about Father Alex. So my view as an entrepreneur of world domination is we're going to start from Manhattan to Montauk and then be national and global. Well, that's kind of what happened to Father Alex, right? He was Manhattan to Montauk, and now
Exactly.
he's nationwide. So same for Stony Brook. We have that opportunity. It's a disruptive time for higher ed, but I think that gives us opportunities that we wouldn't have otherwise. We're in a great state, we're in a great system, we have incredible supporters, and we have an incredible mission. You know, I talk about the fact that we're $7,000 a year tuition, roughly, for in-state students. That's a remarkable story. At a time where there's a lot of negative perspective on higher education, in part because of the cost, we have an amazing story around that. Our research is incredible. The gift from the state, the $300 million to launch quantum, is just one example of where we're leading the country in an area of incredible national importance and that drives jobs and economic prosperity and national security. We are leading the country in quantum communication. We're leading the country in many other areas. Our story is not that well known. We have to tell that story more. We will soon to lead the country in areas of AI because we have an incredible leader who we're going to hear from shortly. And I have no doubt that Stony Brook can lead in every area that's important to this country, and that's the story that we need to tell. So I want to hear from everyone as we're crafting this vision for the future of Stony Brook. What should we aspire to, and how do we get there? If you heard either my State of the University address or other communications, I've kind of crafted our vision for the future around three pillars that are easy to remember. ABC is the acronym that hopefully is easy to remember, and that's why we used ABC, but they're also the right letters. So the A is for accelerating our excellence in research, education, healthcare, and service to our communities, our local community, the great state of New York, this country and the world. B is for building. I mean, we know there's a lot of building that needs to, I'm looking at Bill, he's amazing in thinking about this 10-year master plan for the buildings that we need to do here on this campus. We have $2 billion of deferred maintenance. So when I hear from students and faculty and staff and healthcare workers that, we need new buildings, I say, yeah, I know we have $2 billion of deferred maintenance. We have to solve that problem and build up our campus to support that acceleration of excellence and impact. And we have to do it in a way that is strategic, because if I could wave a magic wand and build all those buildings and fix all our old buildings tomorrow, I would, but we can't do that. Either time and money or both as constraints, but we will do it as quickly and strategically as we can. We also need to build new facilities away from Stony Brook. So we need to build a hospital on the Southampton campus and ignite that campus. That's part of Manhattan to Montauk. Southampton is a huge asset for us, despite the 19 or so condemned buildings. As an optimist, it's like, okay, yeah, that's a problem. But if I envision a decade from now what the Southampton campus will do for Stony Brook and Long Island and New York State, it's an incredible story. And then we also need stronger ties to Manhattan. I had drinks with the chancellor on Friday night to talk about that, because he raised it during the governor's visit. He said Stony Brook should be more engaged in Manhattan. And we agree. I mean, this was part of the discussion of this strategic planning. It's the most impactful city in the world, the most vibrant city in the world. It's 50 miles from here. We're the only research university in SUNY that's anywhere close to New York City. It's the seat of state government, or not state government, but local government, the arts, the humanities, media, finance. Tech is increasingly growing in New York City.
Where the money
is, where the donors are. But it's also a city that has so much to offer us as a partner, and we really haven't engaged in New York City in the way that we can. The New York Climate Exchange is one area, but that's just one dimension. We have a few programs in New York City, but we want to grow them more. And I've asked Wendy, as our VP of Strategic Initiatives, to start looking into what are the broad set of ways that we can engage with Manhattan. We also had a cabinet retreat where we talked about that as well. So that's going to be part of the strategic planning. And again, ideas from everyone around the council and beyond will help us hone in on that. So building our facilities from Manhattan to Montauk. The chancellor said Stony Brook should have a building or space in Manhattan. So that's and he said we should get it for free. Well, maybe we could. Not out of the question. So I agree. If we had a building where we could plant our flag in Manhattan, ASU has a building in Manhattan, Vanderbilt has a building, not ASU, sorry, Vanderbilt, other universities that are not based in Manhattan, including Cornell.
And we used to have a modest campus in the city, and if you haven't been briefed on it yet, somebody on your staff should brief you on how that originated and then how it didn't work out so well and why, and maybe what could have been done differently to.
That's a great idea. So, and in addition to building buildings to support our research and education and healthcare, we need to build our faculty and student populations. We should be educating more New Yorkers. We offer an outstanding education to in-state students and out-of-state students, but for in-state at an incredibly reasonable price. We should do that for more New Yorkers. We should have more graduate students if we want to increase our research footprint, which is part of increasing our excellence. And we can't do that without increasing our faculty, because we can't maintain and grow our excellence in education with more students unless we have more faculty and more resources to support them. And then growing our faculty and student populations is also about advancing the frontiers of knowledge in more dimensions. And we want to build on our success to date and do more. And when I talk about building our faculty, it's attracting outstanding faculty and outstanding leaders, which we've been able to do even in the short time that I've been here. Lav joined in the time that I've been here. I've known him for decades, actually. We've been able to attract incredibly strong faculty and faculty leaders because of our vision. We're bringing people here because they believe in Stony Brook's vision and want to be part of that future. And then C is for catalyze, which is how do we take what we do in the university and increase its impact beyond our four walls, or however many walls we have. And that's so important today at a time of this disruption in higher ed, where people around the country, it's not just people in Washington, people around the country are questioning what's the value of higher ed. And we need to demonstrate that our mission at Stony Brook to provide this outstanding education at a very reasonable price and to advance the frontiers of knowledge, which support our country and everyone in it in terms of national security and economic prosperity and leading the world in advanced technology that benefits humanity. How do we tell that story better? That's where the Catalyze comes in. We want to leverage our research excellence and our remarkable people to ignite innovation, entrepreneurship, and ties with industry to drive economic growth from Manhattan to Montauk, that's our neighborhood, but also do it throughout the state of New York. And by doing that, we have a great argument for the state to continue to invest in Stony Brook, but also that we are great partners with the State University of New York system, that it's any dollar invested in Stony Brook would elevate the system as a whole. And I know that hasn't always been the perspective or the perception or the reality, but that is the story I think that we need to tell now, because it is the right story, that as great partners in SUNY, we will get more investment and that will benefit the system as a whole. So I'm not going to go through the details of my speech, but that's kind of the broad outlines of what I talked about. And again, I look forward to engaging with the council and the university broadly on crafting this vision for the future. We have a series of town halls and small group discussions to hear from people around the campus, but how we engage the council in this process is something I'd love to hear more, and Kevin and I will talk about that. You all are incredibly important partners in crafting this vision for Stony Brook. So a couple other updates, as Kevin mentioned, the last 2 months have been joyous every day, but the day that the governor came to announce the $300 million investment to build a quantum research and innovation hub was a particularly joyous day. It was the first time that I got to meet the governor in person, and we had a great, short but great conversation. It was in that conversation where I talked about the desire to make Stony Brook a catalyst for innovation and entrepreneurship. And in her speech, if people saw it, she said, she was talking to the new president, and she didn't know if I said this exactly, but New York State would eat the lunch of California when it came to innovation and entrepreneurship. So that made its way into my State of the University address, because I think it's a great statement. And again, it's not out of reach at all. New York City is the fastest growing tech hub in the country. And Stony Brook has a better opportunity than any other university anywhere in the country to help drive that. NYU and Columbia do not have any kind of entrepreneurial innovation foundation or ecosystem. So that's ours to build. So that was a great conversation with her. And also just, this is, I think, the largest single investment that the state has made at one time in Stony Brook.
I'm not aware of it, other than, exactly, Jim Simons.
I'd say
and
no
now they
with
got
it.
the state.
Yeah, okay, there we go. So I mean, that's in 6 weeks into my presidency. So it's just an incredible statement. I think Rich Gelfond, who chairs our foundation board, said, okay, $300 million in the first 6 weeks. So if you do that every 6 weeks, we're going to see billions by the end of the year. Well, okay, I'm an optimist, but that's a little optimistic, but I don't know if I'll go with that, but I'll try. So this quantum hub is an incredible opportunity for Stony Brook. We are the national leaders in quantum communications, which is a very important part of quantum science and technology broadly. If you can't move the bits around, the qubits around, you can't build a quantum computer. You certainly can't build a distributed quantum computing center or a data center, or send the information in a secure manner. So our leadership there is remarkable. We are the leaders in the country. Maintaining that leadership and then growing around it. So we're not leaders yet in quantum computing, but we are leaders in the intersection of classical and quantum computing. So this is an incredible investment for us. It gives us visibility in the country and around the world. which will help us attract the very best faculty and leaders to our quantum hub. So part of what we want to do is craft the vision for the quantum hub to make sure that we build on our leadership and become recognized as one of the leading institutions in the world for this important technology. We also, the day before the governor came, we hosted the SUNY Board of Trustees in this room. I think that was the first time the Board of Trustees had met on our campus in at least a decade, as I understand it. I got to speak at the start of their meeting to welcome them to our campus. They did tours. They were very impressed. They found our campus really beautiful, but they also saw some of the chemistry building and other buildings that are part of this deferred maintenance. And that was also helpful for them to see, we're building something really incredible here at Stony Brook, building on the momentum we have, seizing our opportunities, but we also have challenges that they can help us with, particularly with respect to infrastructure. And one of the other things that I emphasized in the meeting with the SUNY trustees was the value of their partnership. I really do view Stony Brook, we are one of two flagships in the SUNY system. We are the #1 public university in New York, #1 in SUNY, but we're partners. And I think that there's things that we can do that by partnering with other universities or with the SUNY leadership in general will elevate Stony Brook. And they need to know we view them as partners, not as something to hold at arm's length. So that's going to be a continuing discussion with them. Couple of federal government relations updates. So shutdown is top of mind. We don't know yet what this will mean for higher education or for Stony Brook specifically. In the past, unfortunately, shutting down the government has become more of the norm than the exception. There was a time when that was unthinkable, and now it's fairly common, unfortunately. If the shutdown is brief, it will probably have limited effects based on the past, but of course, we're in unusual political times, so we can't necessarily even look to the past. If the shutdown is longer, then there could be more disruption, particularly with respect to funding. Many federal agencies have reduced operations, leading to potential delays in grant processing, which was already somewhat disrupted, new awards and regulatory reviews. As for now, all of our research activities, or at least most of them, seem to be continuing as planned without disruption as of now. Additionally, student aid dollars will continue to flow through programs, including the Pell Grant student loan payments will be due, and the FAFSA will remain open. We're reviewing agency-specific contingency plans pertaining to our work to better understand how the shutdown will affect activities which can continue, which may be paused, and the staffing plans around that. Any communication with federal agency staff will be delayed during this time because we don't know who's in the office or how they're navigating the communication from the federal government. The federal policy environment is fluid. We have a fantastic government relations team, and together with my leadership team, we're continuing to monitor basically daily developments in what's happening in the federal government and working closely with SUNY and our peer institutions on proactive advocacy for higher education generally, and clear communication about the priorities for Stony Brook and higher education more broadly. You may have heard that there's a compact that the Trump administration is talking to certain universities about. I was approached if I wanted to participate in those discussions, and I said, I'm part of a larger system. I cannot have those conversations directly. That's one of the big benefits to being part of a system right now, is that we have good reasons not to be pulled into some of the dynamics that are happening right now. So I want to note also that John Hill was named interim director of Brookhaven National Lab. This follows the announcement that Joanne Hewitt would step down as director. And I'm delighted to say she's assuming her role as a tenured faculty member in the Department of Physics and Astronomy here at Stony Brook, and as well as in the C.N. Yang Institute of Theoretical physics, Joanne and I overlapped at Stanford. We never met there, but we were there together over my 21 years there. She's a brilliant theoretical physicist and also a great leader, and I'm looking forward to tapping her leadership skills as we think about elevating science here at Stony Brook. So look forward to welcoming her back and figuring out how we can really leverage her expertise and talents as one of our faculty members. I also want to note there will be a change of leadership in the New York Climate Exchange. The founding CEO shared with staff last week that he would step down. And as chair, we're working to, I'm chair of the board, so we're working to identify an interim to step in, and we're expecting to hold an international search for the next executive director. I want to say that despite this transition, things at the Climate Exchange are going exceptionally well. We've launched a project on data preservation and raised a significant amount of money for that project. The Climate Week went really well. I attended an event on entrepreneurship and climate technology on the island, which was very well attended and had some very exciting entrepreneurs associated with the exchange doing technology that's really going to help mitigate climate change in different dimensions. We have tremendous support from donors and partners. So the vision for the exchange, it's a fantastic vision. Obviously, all of the leadership changes at Stony Brook have impacted its momentum over the last few years, but we are positioning it for great success. And I truly believe it will have the impact that was envisioned when Stony Brook stepped up to lead the exchange and won the right to do so over many other very powerful universities. I want to welcome Jennifer Almquist, as my new chief of staff. Let's give her a round of applause. She's been an amazing partner so far. And then also Jane Savage just recently joined as our new vice president for human resources. We're delighted to have her as well. And then we'll be launching a search very soon to fill the vice president for marketing and communications role on a permanent basis. And I want to thank Susan for doing an excellent job serving in the interim role to lead the division during this last few years. A couple university news highlights. Chairman Law mentioned the Oceans of Hope event held at Stony Brook, Southampton, an incredible event. That was the first time that I was on the boat. The council, thanks to the council for recognizing the actions of His All Holiness Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew. We gave him the Stony Brook Council University Medal. His nickname is the Green Patriarch. He has been incredibly vocal and active in advocating for the moral imperative to address climate change at a time when not everybody is willing to be that vocal and visible about it. So I was delighted to be part of that ceremony. Few other quick things. Stony Brook received the largest number of applications ever this year, with more than 64,000 first-year applicants and over 71,000 total undergraduate applications. That's a 15% growth in 1 year and a 64% growth in 4 years since 2021. Thanks to the education team, I would say, Carl and Rick, for their leadership in bringing such an incredibly strong pool of applicants to Stony Brook. And in addition, we have 27,200 students, which is the largest enrollment ever for Stony Brook. And I think that serves a really good story. Finally, Stony Brook Hospital has been named one of the best hospitals for pediatric care in 2025, earning the #1 spot in New York and ranking #7 nationwide. That deserves a round of applause too. And we continue to rank as the #1 public university in New York. Stony Brook University, #1 in New York. That deserves one more round of applause. So I'll just close, and I'm sorry this was a somewhat long report, but thank you so much for your support, your enthusiasm, embracing me as a leader. I'm so thrilled to be here. Thank you for welcoming me and my husband. He is thrilled to be here too, and I really look forward to partnering with all of you in the years ahead to achieve what's possible for Stony Brook, which is really infinite opportunity. So thank you very much for
Thanks, Andrea. That is an amazing first 2 months. Going to be tough to continue that at that level, but we have full faith and confidence in you. So thank you. Let the record reflect that council members Linda Arman and Frank Trotta have joined us. So welcome. And when I was mentioning the search committee too, I didn't mean to exclude Carol Gomes was also on our search committee, and Brenda Anderson was extremely helpful to me throughout the whole process. So thank you both very much. And Linda, I let the new student, undergrad, and graduate members introduce themselves before, but Neil, I overlooked you. He's our brand new alumni representative. You just want to share with us what your connection is to Stony Brook in addition to being an alum?
Yes, so I'm an alum from 1980 and 82. By practice, I'm an attorney. I am recently retired from Con Edison as their Associate General Counsel. I ran their federal practice. I'm involved at the school as a donor and a volunteer. I'm also on the Dean's Advisory Board of the College of Business, and I'm an adjunct faculty member in the business school also.
Oh, very good. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
I used to be a partner at Nixon Peabody, and my former partner, Liz Moore, became general counsel at Con Ed.
Yes,
So
I know
do you know
Liz
Liz?
very well.
Right?
Yes.
See, there's only like, somebody knows everybody, somebody somewhere.
You probably know our former general counsel, John McMahon, who was president of
LIPA. Yes.
Yeah, he's also my golf buddy. So.
Yes. Yeah. I in fact, I played with him once. A very nice guy.
Yes.
Yeah. So welcome aboard, and thank you for leading the alumni, which continues to grow and grow every year.
Yes, we represent.
So thank you for that.
240,000 alumni.
Wow. That is great. And so now, since we have a quorum, we'll just go back to the order. We'll approve the minutes of both the May 5th meeting and the special meeting that we had on July 9th, 2025. Rachel had circulated those minutes to you, so I will move them. Chris Hahn seconds them. Does anybody have any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. Thank you. So now let's continue. Since we started late and we're running a little late, we have 3 presentations. I'm going to ask you all to keep it to about 10 minutes each, if we can, and allow for a little bit of questions. And just before I get to the rest of the agenda, does anybody have any questions for Andrea on anything that she presented in her report? Okay, hearing none. We will go to Lav Varshney, who's going to give us a presentation on the Artificial Innovation Institute. And Andrea, do you want to tee this up? Because I don't think we've met Lav before.
Sure, happy to do that. So as I mentioned, Lav, I've known him since he was a quote unquote kid. We're in the same field in information theory and electrical engineering. And when I heard that he was considering coming to take this position, I said, I really want to talk to Lav because he would be an amazing lead of our artificial intelligence institute. He's an incredibly renowned academic in the field of information theory and artificial intelligence. He's worked in industry, and particularly at IBM. He spent some time in Biden's White House working on artificial intelligence issues. So he really spans academia, industry, government, and is a great visionary in addition to being a fantastic academic. So we're incredibly lucky to have convinced him to come here, and he's going to tell you about his vision for this Artificial Intelligence Institute that will position Stony Brook to be among the leaders in this really important field. So take it away.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Andrea. So I'll dig right in. So I'll be briefly talking about the Artificial Intelligence Innovation Institute and more broadly about what we're aiming for with AI across the university and making an impact across the world. So I think many of us are familiar with ChatGPT and related technologies, these large language models. And I was actually lucky enough to build some of the first billion parameter plus large language models back in 2019. And back then, we could prompt them, we could get, the red kind of a made up URL for a news article and generate fairly fluent text. But what's been going on recently is that you can even prove mathematical theorems using AI, which has been really, really great. And something I've been playing around with is actually a lot of these open questions in information theory that have been in my mind for several years, trying to use AI to help prove those. And so these technologies are getting much more powerful as just over the last 5 or 6 years. This class of large language models and related large AI models are really powerful. But it's also important to remember that there's a whole kind of armamentarium of AI. It's not just this one particular technology, but there's all kinds of other things. Just being a little parochial and using examples from my own research, you can think about AI for designing novel proteins for vaccines or antibodies or food. You can think about building novel concrete. So it's actually made from water, gravel, fly ash, slag, cement, and so on. And it's about 8% of worldwide carbon emissions are just from the production of concrete. And what we did was we used just a little bit of AI and were able to develop new formulations that are the same cost as traditional concrete, just as strong, but have half the embodied carbon. So getting rid of about 4% of global carbon emissions if it's fully deployed would be incredibly amazing. Like, just as a comparison point, 3% of global emissions are from all of aviation. So, if this kind of concrete was adopted, it would be like eliminating all of aviation. And this is being deployed already by Meta in their data centers in northern Illinois and in Minnesota. And Holcim, the world's largest concrete manufacturer, is taking up this idea as well. So just another example where it's not these large models, but actually very small AI models can have huge impacts, almost kind of an infinite ROI in terms of carbon. You can think about other settings like designing novel food. When I was at IBM, we built a technology for culinary creativity. This was actually the first commercially successful generative AI technology back in 2012. But we're revisiting this now to also consider nutrition and well-being and sustainability. Or you can think about wastewater treatment, try to make that more efficient and actually reduce the energy requirements by 30%. So there's this whole kind of class of algorithms around AI that can be really powerful and that we're thinking about as we go forward. And a lot of the kind of intellectual foundations for the AI Innovation Institute come from my service in Washington. And so a lot of the thinking is that we require both innovation as well as diffusion of these technologies across industrial, societal, and scholarly sectors. And that's where the biggest impact can come. And so what we want to do is try to get these powerful AI technologies into the hands of everyone, break it out of the lab. And Jeffrey Ding, the political scientist from George Washington, he really made this argument making a comparison to electricity. So in the 1800s, when electricity really was developed, it took almost 50 years for it to diffuse to all the different industrial sectors. And in his view, really kind of national competitiveness and national strength comes from when these technologies are used rather than just when they're innovated. And so if we can shorten that timescale for general purpose technologies from that 50 years of electricity to a shorter length, that would be really kind of the biggest contribution we can make at Stony Brook, perhaps. So we want to drive the innovation, but also the diffusion. And and I would argue that Stony Brook is very well positioned to do this. Through both our research, our clinical work, our educational programs, our kind of driving of discourse. So kind of all of those things together, I think, are where we can make those differences. And so really the goal of AI3, as we're continuing to build it, is to advance core AI. So advancing the algorithms, the architectures, the mathematical and physical foundations of AI, and so on, as well as kind of the ethical foundations and the responsible use of AI, but then also the diffusion. And so the way we're thinking about the Institute is this kind of T-shaped thing where we're driving core innovation in the discipline itself, but also trying to supercharge kind of all the other disciplines that can benefit from AI. And I realize the font is too small, but if you look at kind of AI, you can think of it as its own discipline, kind of its own little green circle, but also kind of an umbrella technology that is a little bit like a super machine that can accelerate all fields, or at least the ones we want to accelerate. What we're aiming for draws a little bit on what people in public policy call Jeffersonian science. So drawing on kind of Thomas Jefferson's view when he sent off the Lewis and Clark expedition, that there's kind of curiosity-driven science and there's mission-driven science. And if you can do both simultaneously, that can be the most powerful. And so what we want to do is really help researchers be at their best by allowing their creativity to flourish, but also be connected to missions so that society benefits the most. And as we're structuring the AI Institute, we're really aiming for this kind of Jeffersonian mode of AI development. And structurally, the way we're doing things is there's the core aspect of the Institute, which is driving new research, trying to build up and get funded centers, whether from federal, philanthropic, or industrial sources, or in fact state resources as well, in both kind of that core innovation dimension as well as diffusion. But we're also working on aspects of education and equity, core and shared services, so partnering with Empire AI and other initiatives to help everyone have access to AI technologies. And then also thinking about policy and thought leadership, so we can spread the word not just in New York State, but of course that's a core aspect, but also globally. And what we're working on right now is really developing that vision. So I've been doing a lot of listening, talking to a lot of faculty, students, staff, and others, as well as external partners, whether in industry or in philanthropy. And I think we're starting to hone in on this vision that I've just been describing, and starting to build kind of a consensus around that vision, and slowly starting to marshal resources to execute on that vision. Let me just briefly talk a little bit about education. So I was lucky enough to participate in a couple classes in the last few weeks. So Sarah was actually a student in one of those classes, which was a lot of fun. So that was an undergrad honors seminar focused on kind of the future of workforce. And so she and her classmates were discussing with me kind of what role AI might play. And it's just amazing how thoughtful our students are, thinking about the way AI might influence their future work and beyond. I also was participating in a graduate seminar course on AI and kind of ethics more broadly. That graduate students from gender studies, from computer science, from economics, and so on. And the focus of that discussion was on the interaction between AI and sustainability in the environment. Again, lots of interesting ideas that emerged from those discussions. Great. One of the initial programs of AI3 are seed grants, and so we've been supporting, even before I started, quite a few projects on campus. There's about 10 of them. I'll briefly mention a few. So one is in Italian literature. So if one can actually look at kind of centuries of literature from a national level, you can find insights that are hard for individual people to do. It's hard to read all the literature that was ever published in Italy in over 300 years. But there's a lot of literary insights to be gained by using large language models to get that insight. Another example is our colleague in civil engineering. She's been developing computer vision algorithms to help sort plastic waste to enable recycling to be better. And this is being done not just on campus, but in fact, there's a center about solid waste that's for the whole state of New York. Another example is on the medical side, in health sciences, trying to develop better prognosis for wound healing. Again, drawing on computer vision and kind of predictive analytics. So these are just kind of a snapshot of some of the things that the Institute is already supporting. And we've also been trying to make connections just in the last few weeks across the ecosystem. So As an example, we helped organize the New York State Scientific Data Summit in collaboration with Brookhaven National Laboratory. And AI for science is actually a very compelling area of growth. So whether it's in particle physics or biology or sustainability science. In fact, just last Friday, I had a conversation with the National Labs folks and the DOE ecosystem about involving Stony Brook in the so-called Manhattan Project too, that the national government is really pushing. Another area that we've been thinking a lot about and talking to our partners and others is climate. So Andrea had started this day at Governor's Island. I was lucky enough to do a fireside chat with our colleagues from IBM about the role of AI in sustainability. Last week we were up in Albany at New York Creates thinking about the intersection of AI with semiconductors and quantum technologies. So again, kind of building up this whole ecosystem where AI seems to be something that can make a big impact. Okay. And on the research side, some of the new things and new paths to intelligence that we're thinking about beyond the LLM paradigm are things like AI-driven agent-based models for policy design. So interestingly, if you run simulations of reinforcement learning agents playing a game of taxation, you can actually get a better tax code than the federal tax code in terms of productivity and equity. In fact, about 16% better than the best analytically derived tax code that Emmanuel Saez from Harvard had figured out. Right? And this kind of way of developing policy using AI seems to be helpful for things like controlling information overload, enhancing the resilience of food systems, or even thinking about information disclosure regimes and for nuclear nonproliferation. So kind of a very compelling area of using AI for kind of policy design. Another example is using non-neural network approaches for AI. So something that we've been working on is information lattice learning. It draws on information theory and group theory foundations rather than these huge, big neural network models. So it's very human controllable, it's data efficient, it's compute efficient, it can run on CPUs rather than GPUs, and it's can achieve the so-called Shannon limit for semantic compression. It achieves state-of-the-art performance for visual abstraction and classification. It helps people be more creative and discover new laws of science. So these are some of the things that are brewing in AI3, just to give you a flavor. And broadly speaking, I think Stony Brook has a really great position as we go forward, as we think about our research enterprise, our teaching enterprise, our position in the world, and kind of drawing on all of those things to really advance AI innovation, diffusion, and really impact. So let me stop there.
Hey, Lav, two quick questions.
Please.
Are you part of the School of Engineering, or are you in a different department?
So my own appointment is in engineering, but the institute is actually at the provost level, so it's meant to be across all the units on campus. So the health sciences, arts and sciences, atmospheric science, business, engineering, journalism, all of it.
Got it. And do we envision a day soon where all undergraduates, regardless of their major, will be required to have a course or some type of training in AI?
Yeah,
Or some colleges doing that?
We actually started what's called a pop-up course this year, so it's a 7-week course. It's 1 credit. We'd like to get it to the point where we can fundraise for it and have it be a free class, have it be available outside the community. So it'll evolve and change every year. It's about 7 different faculty. Love, you contributed to that.
Starting to, yeah.
Come in at the end. Yeah. So that's sort of the starting point. We always have to be careful about, particularly in engineering, every class that we add, we want to make sure students can still graduate on time, but I think we have to.
Right.
We have to have as much, we have to provide students with every opportunity to not just succeed, but be leaders in this, and that's what the Institute will start to do. You may know we at Buffalo were the 2 universities that got about $2 million a year from SUNY to start the technology, AI, and society departments. So we have that coming up at the same time.
Great. And that was going to be my last question. Are we playing a role, or are we coordinating with the governor's other major announcement earlier this year for the AI Center at University of Buffalo?
Yeah, so like Carl was mentioning, the departments that are being started in various campuses, so we're one of those. And then Empire AI is being led actually by Robert Harrison, who's a faculty member here at Stony Brook. The physical data center will be in Buffalo near Niagara Falls for various energy and climate reasons, but Robert's leading it from here. And yeah, we're participating in kind of all the discussions and taking a leadership position in all these statewide discussions. In the spring, we'll be hosting the SUNY AI Symposium as well. So kind of everyone across the state will be here and so on. So lots of things going on locally at the state level and beyond.
Very good, exciting. Anybody else have any questions for Lev? All right.
So, sorry, I have a
Please.
question. So this is going to be a resource for departments to be able to access, or what is it going to be like?
Yeah, so it's a campus-wide institute, and on the education side, yeah, I've started talking to department chairs and deans and so on about some figuring out educational programs, and then on the research side, it's open to everyone across the whole campus. So I've been talking a bit to some neurobiology folks as well, and thinking about the science of intelligence broadly. But yeah, it's meant to be for everyone.
And when is it going to take off?
So we've officially started some months before I started. Nominally, I'm the inaugural director, but yeah, things are happening. So we're excited.
We actually just had our first reach out from the school district, and so Mom is going to be connected with them, and so there might be some real opportunities to help really advance what's happening in the community faster.
So now it spurs a question. Do you envision partnering with business, helping businesses with?
Yeah, and I mean, even just an example of fintech, that's an area where it's very strong in engineering, it's very strong in business. That gives us a real opportunity to invest and be a leader and provide opportunities to businesses that we can drive with research, but then also meet their actual needs in terms of their commerce.
Yeah, there's a sense that businesses can save 50% on efficiency if they use AI effectively. Whether that's true or not, it might be, but there's certainly opportunities there. And that's a way for us to tie into business, having expertise here on how do you improve your operations, supply chain, hiring, assessments, all those things.
Perfect. I just have a follow-up question in regards to student education on AI in the pop-up course. Do you see AI becoming a competency in the gen ed requirements in the future? I thought there was some past discussions on that. Is that in the future?
Yeah, so there's a SUNY requirement that's come down for both AI and then
Yeah, it's the SUNY Gen Ed competency that we're working with the curriculum right now. It will become effective fall 2026.
Well, exciting times, and it's impacting every area. But we're encouraging AI utilization in our real estate development company. So, as you said, it took 50 years for all industrial sectors to take advantage of some of the changes during the Industrial Revolution. AI, I think, is going to happen over a period of probably a couple of years, as opposed to decades, right?
Yep, that's the hope, and hopefully we can do it right.
Well, thank you. Hey, I'm going to exercise the discretion of the chair. Fred, I'm going to apologize. We're going to punch you to the December meeting, but we'll make you the number one item after Andrea's report. Ben, I don't want to give the importance of work that you do over there a real rush job because Chris has to leave early. I know I have to be somewhere at 11, so sorry about that. But we will go on to Chris Martin and get an update on the Seawolves Village.
your presentation. I know in May we presented, and we were still in fabrication of the units out of state, and we had started some site work. So I'm excited to show pictures, go through a little bit of the program, but go through some pictures also of the actual construction being completed, go over some cost overview and the timeline and occupancy. So the way that we started out the project was trying to get housing, the need satisfied as soon as possible. So we looked at prefabricated housing and how we can construct it, save some time that way, bring it on site. And we ended up coming up with a solution of 492 beds, 2 stories, basically a little bit more of traditional older style with main corridor and two bedrooms on each side of the corridor. It was with the 2 stories, we had ADA compliancy on the first level in the 7 buildings. Each first level has ADA compliance. You have accessibility to each of the buildings. 2 of the 7 buildings are for the community events on the first floor. So you have laundries, you have computer centers, you have lounges, you have a kitchen area. So also you can see fitness room, mail room. So some of the essentials to support the 7 buildings that are there. Each of the buildings has student. This was important. I'll just stop there. This was an important thing of the ratios. So we did look at BSU as an example because prefabricated housing was being done. So our team went there, the campus residence team went down, they looked at it, and one of the ratios that was concerning to us was the number of sinks, toilets, showers to students. So that was important. So we got it down to a good ratio of 6-to-1 for toilets, the sink 6-to-1, showers 7-to-1, and then also the student resident, the assistant residents for 40-to-1 was important too.
Chris, how does that compare to the dorms campus already? Is that similar or better?
It's very similar. That's why we brought it down. Some of the dorms might have 5-to-1 ratio for the sinks and showers and the toilets. The resident assistant ratio was a little bit higher than what we've done, probably closer to 30-35. But we felt that this was comfortable in the way that they're not more stories high. Yes.
492 beds per building?
It's 492 beds overall.
In total,
81
between all
per
5 buildings?
For the 7 buildings.
Oh, okay.
Yep. I'll have a slide that will show the different buildings that shows the seven buildings set up. The cost, what was important to this is Modular Genius is the prefabrication company that we hired. We went through a process of consortium and using a company that was established. So that was basically half the price of the construction. And the balance of it is the on-site work that's being performed by our local unions, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and also our vendors that we continually use, and they are all union members and using the local unions. $3.6 million made up of campus resident cost. Basically, we had to bring in fiber optic cabling to each of the buildings. Then there's the internal cabling for the buildings that has the network, so you can have Wi-Fi. Also, that you can do hardwire connecting because we find that sometimes with gaming, it's better, it's more efficient doing the plug-in. And then also we have security access cameras, and then the furniture and equipment that goes into each of the buildings. So overall, we had 48 million. We put this comparison on here, but I'll just preface it saying Seawolves Village is at 98,000 per bed, where the new Tabler residence that we're getting ready to kick off and do ground break on that was at 281. Clear difference between the two is the type of construction. Think of it, easy way of saying it is like, your home is built with, wood studs, sheetrock, same thing as the Seawolves Village, where like the Tabler will be built with steel, concrete, so a different type of construction. Also, that's table is more of the new standard of how SBU is going, where you have individual bedrooms and a common area with a kitchenette and bathroom and showers. So it's a different setup, but we were trying, again, get to have housing on site as quickly as possible. And because VSU was doing a similar project, they already had templates made. So as we go through the consortium and going through selecting a vendor, they had something made already, kind of cookie cutting, that they could just go from and continue with their template that we're using for VSU to build the housing for us. Just to show everybody the general location, that blue spot that's pointed out, it's near the tennis courts, the indoor rec center or facility, and right off of Stadium Drive.
And Chris, are they up? Are they being used now, or?
I'm going to show you.
I'm sorry.
We're in the progress, and then I'll go through the scheduling. Okay. We're still in construction.
Got it.
So we had some renderings that I cut some out from the last time, but just some renderings of here's the 7 buildings. So you can see each one is 2 stories high. The units right here, the 2 in the middle, those are the community buildings. So each of those have the services with the lounges, with the kitchenettes for the students. But you can see this is the stadium drive that comes around here, the tennis courts, and the indoor practice facility.
Chris, any reason that you chose to go with just a 2-story building as opposed to a 3-story building, considering, I guess, the second floor is where the residents are, so that you could accommodate more students?
We felt that one of the things was the type of construction. There's a limitation on the height. Because you can always build with wood in this type of prefabrication with wood up to 3 stories, but then also we tied into then going into elevators. So once we got over the 2 stories, we're like, now we need elevators for accessibility. So we felt that 2 stories was where it was, and it fit into our budget.
Could you ever add a story to that building?
Not to these, no.
Not to those. Okay.
Frank, in my world, there is now modular multifamily units, 5, 6 stories.
Oh.
But it gets pretty pricey. Yeah.
Yeah, and once you go over 3 stories, then you have to go to steel.
Yeah.
So it changes the construction. So the bottom has to be steel to support it. Yeah.
Thank you.
So project timeline, to answer your question, Kevin. So I put on here is where we were, because we met in May, and at that time we were still talking, we were in fabrication. So July is when I'm going to call them pods, and basically a pod is you have a bedroom on one side, the hallway in the middle, a bedroom on the other side. So it's almost like taking a slice through the building, each building, and there's 12 of those pods on each floor. So it's like putting a puzzle together, you're connecting them, builder blocks, you're putting them together. August, we started setting the pods. So we had initially 78 of them come on site, just sitting there as we were preparing for them. Then we started actually putting them in place, setting them on concrete block piers, which you'll see in an upcoming slide. And then in September, we completed the pod setting, so putting all of those pods into place for the 7 buildings with a second floor. So we had to bring in a crane to bring them up to the 2nd level. And then we end up continuing the installation. So as you join these together, you basically have to seal up the joint between each of the pods. And then it's finished on the inside. The flooring has to be finished. The walls have to be finished. And then we started using our SBU trade work. Our carpenters, electricians started coming on site, pulling the work, cabling to electrical cabling to each of the units. Our carpenters started doing the siding on the units. And so that was the work that has taken place. What we have remaining is, I won't go through each of these, but basically MGI will be completing their work basically this month, and then going into November is when they have to do their self-inspections and inspecting the work, certifying their work in a sense, and start doing punch lists. What are the things that need to be fixed? as we go along, we're also making a list of things that we find, turning it over to them, they're fixing them right away. And then going into November, our trade work will still continue. But then we're going to start bringing on, as each building is being finished by our trades, because MGR will finish their work, we'll come in, we're finishing our work. Once we are done, then we will be turning it over to campus residents, and they'll come in and they'll start looking to put wax on the floors, they'll start looking at putting paper towel dispensers up, things like that. So that we'll be working with them, but we'll bring them in to then furnish the units, and we're going to basically do it from the first building, building A, all the way through G, and just slowly, we'll keep turning them over. And then our move-in date is January 5th. That's when for the new semester, the spring semester. So that's our goal, is to have students going in, coming for that new semester. And here's some pictures. So in the picture on the left, you can see that you have like two windows with blue around it, and then there's white. So each one of those is what's the pod. And each of them is 14 feet wide by 44 feet long. And then basically, so they came up on tractor trailers. They were put on site, and then basically they took a lift and just put them in place to sit on the top of. You can see the little piers on the bottom of that picture, and it's just sitting it on there. Each one has to get leveled, set in place individually, and then as you start putting them together, which is the second picture, is you can see it sitting on the piers. Now they're marrying them together. Now they're sealing up the joints between each of the units. And then the third picture is showing where we have the crane putting on the second level to each of the units. A lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of coordination. But then you get a full building, which is the last picture, all together. And once that was done, then we were able to have our team, our trades come in and start doing what we call skirting, covering up the piers on the bottom, and then start doing siding, start bringing more electric, the electric and other things. This I felt was important to show that what our SBU trades can do. This is the utility building, where all the electric is coming through. You have emergency generators for the buildings is here. So this is an important piece of the site and a part of the construction. But basically, they built this. Our carpenters, our electricians. This is the building. This is the inside where each of the generators will sit on top of here. You can see all the piping coming up. And this is stages of the building being built. Again, all by our local trades. They've done a great job with that. We're getting ready to install the electric in there, what we call the main panels, the generators. So great story for our local teams and coordination by our project management team. Here's some pictures of the interiors. A little messy still because it was right after they're delivered. But you can see that you have the restroom, the bathrooms, the showers, the sinks, the toilets, and they are communal on each of the floors. And then each of the rooms, this is a typical room, so you'd have a bed on each side of the window. On the opposite side is two closets, one for each of the students. And then on the lower pitches is there's the community kitchen, there's a lounge space area, computer area, and then there's the laundry on the right-hand side. And this is the final look of the building, where our teams have put on the siding. It's a blue. I forget the name of the blue, but it's a very nice thing. And again, this is being done by our local trades, and each of the buildings, one by one, will be completed this way. What you don't see here is on the edge, these are the doorway openings, but there will be stair towers that are built on the sides of them. So our team is also doing the building of them. We have prefabricated stairs made, brought them in, and then we're going to frame around them. You should start seeing that shortly when you go past the site. The ends of the buildings will start getting closed in. And then again, this is one of the residence buildings, but the support building will have a doorway on the center with a ramp coming in for ADA compliance also. And that's it.
very interesting. You know, in your opinion so far, for $135,000 less per bed, is the quality of this new Seawolf Village a whole lot different than the new addition at Table?
It's different in the way of the materials that are being used. I would say the finishes are basically, somewhat the same. You can have a different feel with, because you may have concrete floors or different type flooring, brush the walls. The scale of the building will be different because that one is also, I believe, 3 stories high. You're going to have different community areas also, so there'll be a different feel for that. So you'll see a bit of a difference in just the way it's set up because it's more of a building that has, kind of corridors off to different areas of the building for a sleeping area. In this area, so it's kind of like a Tower A, Tower B, Tower C.
Right.
So it'll be a different little bit of feel of what the building's looking like.
Well, look forward to hearing the feedback from Norman, you, and Sarah at the February meeting as to what the students are saying after the first month in there.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I mean, I live off campus, but still interested in knowing about this. So similar to your question about like safety and reliability, do we have to worry? I mean, many of the other buildings on campus, as you guys may have remember or heard, there's a lot of infrastructure issues, constant floodings, students being sent to hotels, etc. Is that going to be an issue with this? And I know you said it's 500 beds in between the 7 buildings, but President Andrea mentioned there are 27,000 new students. So, so where are they going? And and is this, sorry, one more question. Is this going to be open to undergraduate, graduate students, and what is the cost going to be like?
So I can't answer the cost.
Okay.
I'm handling the construction side of it. But I'll start up. Safety-wise, this is all built to code. These are elevated, so flooding of them, no.
Hopefully.
In that area, because we know that the stadium area does have a lot of flooding, which we are working on other projects to take care of that issue. And we received actually funding on that recently, so we'll be starting that sometime in the near future. But everything is built to codes. Anything that, when these are prefabricated, they are inspected for code compliance. They are built to New York State code. We also review the codes because we are the enforcers, our office. So safety-wise, they're solid. There's nothing wrong with them, and they're just as good as any other, areas. The thing with these also is they have, for the comfort of the students, there's heating and cooling and control in each of the rooms, which is very different because I know on the campus, like the H-Quad, we don't have air conditioning. So we are putting into, this was important to have heating and air conditioning and then have the controls within each of the rooms. So.
Just a quick one is that this is funded by DASNY bond funding, and in order to qualify for that, we have to prove that the buildings are durable enough to last 50 years, and so otherwise we wouldn't get bond funding and we wouldn't be eligible. So DASNY agreed that the buildings are that durable, and that's why we got the bond to do it.
Got it. That makes sense. Thanks, Jed. All right.
Yeah, I mean, people are building houses this way now, so I'm
Absolutely.
sure
It's
it's
definitely a big sea change.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm
It's
sure
not the crappy,
Yeah, it's
prefab.
not what you're,
Right.
yeah.
No, your grandfather's prefab
not
or
mobile.
your grandmother's prefab.
Right, exactly.
And I think like something to what we're saying is, like even the siding on the building, you look at it, it is a better siding than you would put on your house. It's a solid piece of siding. It's not, a vinyl siding that's, flexible. It's solid siding that interlocks with each other. So the finishes are higher on this than you normally would. And you don't get that feel, I'll say, of walking into a trailer. It's not that. It's much more than that. It's permanently built to be there, as Jen said, for 15 years.
Right.
It's comparable to a stick frame building that's built on site. It's just built inside of a factory, and then it's inspected by a New York State Department of State. Actually travels to the factory, and they sign off on every pod. Before they leave. They actually have a New York State seal approval before they leave the factory. We wouldn't accept them until they were signed off by the state.
Great. Thanks, Bill. All right. Thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
All right. As I mentioned, Fred is going to present at our December meeting. There's no new business, and our next meeting is December 8th. Here, as of right now, it'll be here. Right, very good. So, wish you all well. Again, welcome to our new members. I can't believe we're in October. Before you know it, the semester will be over. But enjoy the beautiful weather, the beautiful fall, and we'll see you in December. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.